So I've just realized I've only had the iPhone 12 Pro Max for just under 2 weeks now, and we already have a flurry of iPhone 13 leaks coming out of nowhere, ranging from larger battery capacities to a portless design to even maybe the return of Touch ID. And now I don't really want my iPhone 12 Pro Max because this iPhone 13 sounds pretty exciting. So without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification. With that being said, let's just tuck in. So let's first discuss the iPhone 13 battery situation, because if there's one issue with the iPhone 12 series for me, it is the smaller batteries. Because along with the physically smaller batteries, and of course the addition of 5G, battery life has been pretty mediocre this year, and that kind of sucks because last year, everyone raved about how good the iPhone 11 series was in terms of battery life. It was industry leading, and now Apple just took all of that away from us. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but don't worry because Apple's planning to make it up to us next year, and Timothy has heard our demands. So essentially, Apple is moving to a new battery tech called LCP softboard. This is a liquid crystal polymer that allows the component to be more flexible than the regular batteries in our phones right now, which basically means, in layman's terms, they can get a larger battery while taking up less space in the phone. Obviously, this is a great thing because one of the issues Apple had with the iPhone 12 series is cramming all those 5G antennas, because not only is 5G utterly terrible, it also takes up a ton of space in the phone, and so that's probably why Apple had to shrink the batteries this year. So basically, with this magical tech, Apple can keep the phones the same size, Apple can also keep as many 5G components as they wish, and also give us larger batteries. So yeah, it seems like a win-win situation. Oh, and another incentive for Apple, and Timothy to be specific, it saves Apple costs. This reduces costs, and I'm sure Apple would love to save every penny they can. So yeah, I can see them implementing this. And if Minchi Kuo is saying this is going to happen, it's probably going to happen. Of course, it is my job to dampen the expectations, because right now this seems a little too good to be true, and maybe it is, because obviously this is a new tech that Apple's never used with their batteries, so maybe they will have some issues making this on a mass scale later on. But for the time being, everything seems great, so I am very, very happy about that, and especially if Apple's going to be bringing a 120Hz display, a bigger battery is very much needed to counteract the high refresh rate. So yes, we're off to a great start with iPhone 13. It sounds absolutely exciting, but now let's delve into the not so exciting part. The portless iPhone. This is something we've been expecting for years from Apple. Johnny Ive's perfect vision of an iPhone, this portless design, that's what he always envisioned, and that's what he always wanted, and we've been expecting one for some time now, but it might be happening a little sooner than we thought. So John Prosser, another very credible leaker, he tells us that Apple will be working on a portless iPhone as soon as next year, though there is a silver lining to this, I guess. So as far as John knows, there will be one model that has no port. Every other model will have a port, and one model won't have a port. Now, I guess in some ways it does kind of make sense, because obviously Apple is going to be experimenting with this new design, and obviously not everybody's going to accept a portless iPhone, so instead of introducing it across the lineup, introducing it on one phone and then seeing if it works out might be the better way to do it. But honestly, I'm not too sure how I feel about this, because I feel like it's going to create some confusion amongst consumers, especially if it's just one iPhone that doesn't have a port. And I feel like if Apple's going to be making the transition to portless iPhones, it should be all done in one go. So they should either do it to all 4 iPhones, or they should just not do it at all. So yeah, I don't really like this middle step of sorts. Like Apple, you can take as much time as you want, because I definitely don't want you guys rushing into this. But anyways, this does corroborate with another leak from Minchi Kuo a few months back that the 6.7-inch Pro Max will be the first portless iPhone. So it's safe to say the 13 Pro Max will be the first portless iPhone, and much like this year, the 13 Pro Max gets the exclusive upgrades, I guess, in a way. So yeah, seems like that'll be the case, and then I guess in 2022 we'll see the other iPhones transition to a portless design. Now, if Apple really wants a portless iPhone 13 Pro Max, then, well, there's 2 reasons why I'm still not on board. Number 1, MagSafe is terrible. So I've briefly used MagSafe on my iPhone 12, and not only is it unbearably slow, but it also creates a lot of excess heat, and ultimately I just feel like it's a really flawed idea. Yes, it's really cool, it's got magnets, and magnets are very cool, but at the same time, it just doesn't have much of a practical use in my opinion, and wireless charging in general is a great alternative to charging, but I just don't think it will replace charging as a whole because it's so slow and limited. Obviously right now, it's not a huge issue because, as I said, it's an alternative to charging, but when it becomes the standard, the de facto way to charge an iPhone, there's gonna be some issues. Because when you're gonna want to top up your iPhone, this is gonna be unbearably slow and you're gonna hate it and it's gonna create a lot of heat and it will just ruin your battery health. There are just so many issues to this, so yeah, I'm not too sure about Apple going portless. But number two, if Apple is really adamant on going for a portless design, I think the 13 mini should be the portless iPhone and not the Pro Max. So Drew from Talos of Tech came up with this idea and I completely agree with him, hence why I'm mentioning it here, but it's not my idea, full credits are to him. He basically said that because the Mini's battery capacity is so puny, it has a battery capacity of around 2000 mAh, the wireless charging speeds are actually not too bad and it actually tops up pretty quick on a wireless charger. And so if Apple wants to bring people on board wireless charging, they should introduce a portless 13 mini first instead of the Pro Max. Because let me tell you, I've wireless charged my Pro Max a few times and it takes an eternity because this is a large battery and because wireless charging is so limited and slow, it takes forever. But a mini in comparison is a tiny phone and it has a tiny battery, and so as a result, the charging speeds aren't too bad. Also, the 12 mini is super tiny, and so if Apple could remove the charger and possibly give it a larger battery, that would benefit a lot more consumers. And so I think that the portless iPhone should be the 13 mini instead of the 13 Pro Max. Of course, in an ideal world, I wouldn't want any of this happening. I would much rather prefer a USB Type-C iPhone, but I guess I've accepted that's not happening anytime soon, and so if Apple's going to go the portless route, I think they should give it to the Mini first and not the Pro Max, but that's what I think. We'll see what Timothy ends up doing. Now, of course, that whole portless thing might have got you guys a little sad about the iPhone 13, but don't worry because there is also another tidbit in Min-Chi Kuo's report mentioning under-display fingerprint scanners, and that gets me tingling. Because single-handedly, the biggest issue I have with the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12s in general is Face ID, because once a long time ago, pre-COVID, everything was bliss. Face ID was magical, it just worked, it was amazing, I loved it. But then, obviously, we got the plague and we started wearing masks and Face ID became a true pain. And so, more than ever, I really want a Touch ID scanner back on the iPhone. And this report from Min-Chi Kuo kind of suggests that may be in the works. So, according to Min-Chi Kuo, in 2021, all smartphones should have an under-display fingerprint scanner. According to him, it should be pretty much be mainstream by 2021. He also says that shipments and production of under-display fingerprint scanners should be insane in 2021, and there should be huge growth in that market, which leads me to believe that maybe Apple's working on a cheeky fingerprint scanner of their own. Now, for the longest time, I kind of assumed that Apple would never bring back Touch ID, and I kind of lost all hope. But then we got the iPad Air with Touch ID enabled on the power button, and that just resurrected all hope for me, because that means that there is a chance we could see it on the iPhone 13, maybe under the display, or maybe even in the power button. Either way, I am very much looking forward to that feature, and I'll be honest, if Apple does nothing and literally gives us a Touch ID scanner on the iPhone 13 and that's the only big feature, then I'll upgrade, because honestly, in terms of day-to-day life improvements, a Touch ID scanner on the iPhone is gonna be a game changer, especially in the climate we live in right now. And on that note, I'm going to end here. Thank you for watching. Tell me in the comments, what are you guys looking forward to in the iPhone 13? What upgrades are you wanting with the iPhone 13? And with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.